Welcome back to Nobby on Cars, where we're looking at the MAXUS T90 EV, which is an electric pickup truck. It starts from just under €60,000 excluding VAT. It has a battery range of about 300 kilometers. Official claimed range is 350 kilometers. The battery capacity is 88.5 kilowatt hours. It will do 80 kilowatt charging, and it has an 11 kilowatt onboard charger. So that's kind of the good stuff. Your charging port is here on the side of the vehicle. And by that I mean, you know, there's plenty of space. You can put 1,000 kilos onto the back and tow it. How will that affect your range? That's an interesting one, because it's doing 48 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. Couple of warning things if you're curious about one of these. So it's potentially an off-road vehicle, but the battery is underneath this part of the car. And if you catch that on anything, it's going to be a very, very expensive lesson. So if you do plan on taking one of these off-road, be very, very careful, because that battery is right under here, where all those rocks like to hide. In the back, for your passengers, it's all right. You've got a plug, you've got 12 volt, good storage space for bottles, there's an armrest, and actually the incline of the seat bench is not too bad. Some vehicles in pickups, it's really quite straight up and it's not the most comfortable of places to sit. Climbing up here is okay, but actually getting out of the vehicle, you've got quite a substantial lip of plastic when you're getting out, so you know you have to step over to get out of the vehicle. So we've got a double wishbone leaf suspension going on. I'll get to more of that later on in the video, but let's just say it's been an interesting car to both drive and be a passenger in the front seat and in the rear of the vehicle. It is the scratchiest of the scratchiest plastics, but it's a work vehicle essentially, so that's the idea of it. You have half a set of buttons on your steering wheel, volume adjuster, skip the track, answer the phone, that's about it. Windscreen wipers are on this side of the vehicle, and indicators and light stalk is on this side of the vehicle. You get your head around that pretty quickly. The temperature is weird. You've got to have it about 30 degrees for it actually to be warm. Anything below that is really cold, and that obviously pumps up the use of your battery and your range. You do have some physical shortcut buttons down here for everything. 2 USB charging. You have CarPlay, but you've got to plug in your cable in order to access that. The dials are needles with a bit of digital. It's as you'd kind of expect a work vehicle to find. Could be better for storage areas and stuff like that, but overall it's okay, but nothing too fancy, and you know, don't expect any frills on the way to work for you and your passengers. When you're driving the vehicle, it weirdly has an ignition that you put a key in and turn over. It's kind of bizarre. At lower speeds, there's a kind of a groaning, whining sound that comes out of presumably the motor. It's very, very intrusive. Now it does go at about 40 kilometers an hour, thereabouts. There's no slippage, even in these slushy, snowy conditions today. So pulling away from things on a road shouldn't be difficult. I was briefly on a bit of muck trying to do a 3-point turn in this, and it started slipping very, very easily, because this is a rear-wheel drive pickup truck. No four-wheel drive, no lock diff, no hill descent. You can probably hear that whining there now. And again, if you're crawling in traffic, you're going to hear a lot of that. Plenty of electric torque, so it's never really sluggish. Like, it's not a word I'd use to describe it. It's quick enough in a straight line for what you'll need, you know. Now I've deliberately kind of stuck on fairly decent smooth roads, because the camera would probably be shaking so violently if I was on the wrong set of road conditions. It's quite a stiff setup, and in the back it's a little bit worse. So if you're going to use this for a work vehicle, maybe the Apprentice, chuck them in the back, you know. Now maybe with a bit of weight on the back of it, it might settle down a little bit. If you were, for example, someone watching this, and you might be someone who works in the Office of Public Works, for example, this is the kind of vehicle that could be tipping around the park for park rangers, Phineas Park, as I mentioned earlier on in the video. There's lots of ways a vehicle like this will work, but as an everyday work vehicle, the charging, while it's all right, like the charging speeds are kind of fine, and the battery size is all right. The range, you know, it's probably a little bit optimistic. In fairness, the other thing as well is the temperature at the moment and weather is not really ideal for an EV. That's it for sure. But for me, it's all about the ride quality of the T90. And I've never driven the diesel version of it, and I'd love to just compare to see how it, you know, the contrast of the two and how it compares. But if you love turbulence, well, you'll love this vehicle. You know, some people love turbulence. Someone or somewhere this type of vehicle could really suit would be forest companies or park rangers, or you can imagine the rangers in the Phoenix Park in Dublin using these to get around, because you don't need range, you're not going to be driving that fast, and it's good in that setting, and it looks good for certain companies to be using an electrified version of a pickup truck. I could probably live with the range, and even the charging speed is okay. The bit that really would be quite difficult to live with is the ride quality of it. If you're going to be driving at speed, if you're going to be driving on any sort of road with any sort of imperfections in it, and this is Ireland, then you need to test this out before you sign on the dotted line. Thank you very much for coming with me this far in the video today, and for checking out the T90 EV here in beautiful Cong in the snow, and I'll see you on the next one.